It's cold outside. There's no kind of atmosphere, and there's no game to talk about. Pompey P, Ipswich P. Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town Ramp Fest. Right. We're going to spend a long time, David, talking about a rectangle of grass down on the south coast and its viability to play a game of football. But first, and most importantly, please speak to all the Ipswich Town fans who travelled, who got all the way there, most of the way there, went around the M25, over the bridge, past Heathrow, whichever way, spent loads of money on petrol on the train, didn't get to see a football match. Speak to those guys first, Dave.
Yeah, no, hats off to those guys who travelled, especially from Ipswich. One of my good mates actually lives in Guildford, so I think he actually hadn't quite left Guildford. So,
and Dave, they've fixed that junction now. You know that junction?
Oh, it's unbelievable! Oh, it's brilliant.
The A3,
oh, it's a dream.
Yeah,
the A3 junction. So, no, hats off to them all. Although it could have been worse. Hellfire, Watford up at Hull. I think were warming up, and then the game was
20 minutes.
20-3, the game was called off. So that it could have been worse. No disrespect to Watford, I wouldn't have thought they'd have travelled in numbers like we probably did and do. But no, it's not good. And as someone just quite rightly said in the chat, championship games, really, no excuse, should not be called off. Really shouldn't.
Rich, really, really frustrating, isn't it? And the second time this season, although we didn't get to minute 81 this time.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about P in your intro. Maybe if we'd done that in the bit of the pitch that was a problem, it might have gone ahead.
No,
never mind. They would blow torches out.
Didn't Barry Fry go to every corner of St Andrews and
every single one?
Every single one.
Yeah, I mean, it echoed Dave's sentiment. Like, there'll be not only fans that have got up at 8:45. I mean, sorry, they left at 8:45, so would have got up at 3 o'clock on a Sunday. The day before, most of them go back to work looking for something to distract them from that. And sorry that I've mentioned that on Sunday night. That won't be helping for it. But there'll be people who went down last night and paid for hotels. There's trains, there's cars, taxis, whatever, petrol. Fans are never going to see that money again, and that's what it is.
Can the club do anything in terms of, they probably will for the travel of the...
they'll get I think the coach will get, the official coach will get refunded, but think of all the fans who put their own hands in their pocket to, as in to fund their own transport and, as I said, hotels and all that kind of stuff. And the club did a great gesture, I think, from the Blackburn postponement. Their fans got the membership point and the discounted ticket to go back to Ewood Park and got money off for the merch store. So that's all they can do, but that's coming out of the pockets. And not only that, but we probably would have stayed last night in a hotel. We've paid to travel, as we have, and think of all the extra miles we've done this season. We essentially played 2 extra games. And there's a few teams obviously in a similar situation, but it all adds up and it all kind of continues the conversation about what is acceptable and reasonable for second tier football, games that are on TV, games that have significance in relation to promotion and relegation, what is reasonable a standard for a pitch. And I can totally get it when it's roads and stadium access, it's all frozen up or snowed in. That's a totally different thing. I just think it's high time the EFL had a look at the standard for pitches, certainly at championship level.
Well, it's one of those. Sorry, go on, Dave.
Sorry, Ben. I think obviously Pompey have been down. How many seasons? Oh, crikey! How many seasons do you think they've been out of the Premier? The Premier League and the Premier League requirements for obviously under Saul Heaton and their minimum requirements. I guess Pompey missed that by a good few seasons, didn't they? But you're quite rightly said it should surely be mandatory in the Championship.
Well, Dave, the question I was going to ask you, mate, was this is another one of those situations where. We have this Narnia, the Premier League here, and this door in between. And we all know the money shrinks absolutely massively. And some of the glitz gets passed down in sort of trickle down economics. But we are, as you say, one step removed from the Premier League. And I don't know, to play devil's advocate a little bit, it is plausible that there's nothing you can do about the weather. Sometimes it is plausible, but my understanding, and we'll get into the tinfoil hat stuff now, is it's one particular area.
Yeah, seemingly so.
And Pompey haven't had a game postponed for 14 years. Is that right? 20.
No, I think so. There's records going. I think I saw 4 games that had been postponed for frozen pitch, but not for seasons. Yeah, maybe not for like 10 or 12 seasons. But yeah, it was an odd one because obviously looking at the weather forecast, I assume down in Portsmouth is very similar like it was here. It wasn't going to get any warmer. I don't think the temperature was going to get a lot above freezing, and so we understand that they'd done three inspections. I think the first one was at 10 or maybe even before then. So they'd done three inspections before the game was called off.
What time, Dave? What time did it actually get cancelled?
11, just after half past 11, I think, something like that. Around it.
Yeah.
So you would think, seeing that if it was unplayable, it wasn't going to get any warmer, and if they weren't going to add any heating element to it as such, then you'd think it would have perhaps been called off earlier. But look, hindsight. Yeah.
It's really difficult, Rich, because I get people's absolute frustration, because what can you do if it's a 3-4 hour journey and the game gets called off 4 hours before kickoff, and leaving plenty of time to get round the old M25 and whatnot. But there really is, people come up with all sorts of, right, if the pitch is not playable at 9 a.m., then it's the responsibility of the club, etc., etc. But we are in the realms of Mother Nature here, aren't we?
I don't think this is.
Is there a hard and fast thing, Rich? Sorry to ask you a question and interrupt you 2 words into it. It's a Benjamin Bloom special, that. But I don't know. Is there a hard and fast thing you can set? Think of the fans then. That there needs to be a specific amount of hours travel. I don't know. Travel plus 3 hours or something like that. That you just call it then.
No, this is the trouble, and it was a similar debate to the Blackburn. I travelled all the way up to see Seb, who then drove us all the way to Ewood Park, and that game was rightly called off. It was called off far too late, but it's right that we try and put football matches on, because the ramifications of postponing them or banning them are significant. They have impacts on the football clubs hosting, football clubs traveling, football fans, of course, as well. The EFL, referees, assistants, media. There's so much consequence around the game now, even at second tier level. I know it's not the Prem, that to me, and to answer a little bit of your first question, there's there was nothing exceptional about a frost. We have 0 degree days in winter most years, and I've had them for the last X years. That hasn't caused an issue at Fratton Park. So what has changed of late? Of course, the referee makes the final call. So let's not put this on Portsmouth entirely. This is the referee's call, and he's decided that it's not safe. And let's be clear, if the game had gone ahead and one of our players had smashed a knee or whatever on a frozen pitch, then we'd be pissed off about it as well. But I think there needs to be more obligation on clubs to try and make matches happen, as opposed to be too, if it snowed, if Fratton Park's under 2 feet of snow, just call it off. Like, it's a no-brainer. Blackburn at the moment should be postponing any game when there's a rain forecast either side of the fixture, frankly. But other than that, I don't see what is extraordinary about the weather that we've experienced the last few days. And as I said before, I think there needs to be a hurdle, and pitches have been used as a way of leveling the playing field, to use the pun, for too long now. We saw it in League One. I remember going to Morecambe and Tranmere that were, sandpits. That's just not on in 2026 anymore. And I just think, have Portsmouth bust the gut to try and put this game on? Have the EFL bust the gut to try and force Portsmouth to put this game on? And what are the consequences afterwards? It just feels that as a fan, we're the ones who get screwed over. Of course, both clubs have to do it all again, but it should be the obligation to get the game on for the benefit of everybody. And it just feels from the outside, and I'm not here with a conspiracy hat on. It's worth talking about.
We're going to get to that bit in a minute. Don't worry.
Okay, we'll deal with that in a second. But look, I just don't think it's beyond the wit of anyone in 2026 to make a football match happen when it's 0 degrees. I just don't think it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think I totally agree with what you say. But would we have wanted to play? We all know, which I'm sure we're going to get to. Portsmouth were going to be much weaker, and they got horrific. I noted it down. Horrific injury list. Horrific. So yes, obviously it would have perhaps. It's two ways to look at this. Yes, it would have suited us better than Portsmouth to play them today. However, you're quite what you said. Playing them on a less than perfect pitch is a leveler in itself, and then you pick up an injury or two, and then hindsight, you think, well. Would we be better off waiting and playing him on a perfect pitch? Not saying the pitch is going to be a surface like Portman Road, but playing them on a perfect pitch. So I guess there's two ways of looking at that, but just incredibly, you're right, Rich, just incredibly frustrating. And for a championship game, just shouldn't happen.
Well, there's definitely two ways of looking. I think it's my job just to play devil's advocate to try and get some balance, Dave, so we don't just bash Pompey and be frustrated all night. No. We were talking on the show last time, and you and I have done like 3 in a week or whatever, that probably this round at this time is where the advantage, unfair or not, however you view it in terms of the TV distribution, this round right here is where the advantage that is earned, unfair or not, would have been most prevalent, wouldn't it? 4 games in 10 days, and you've got the squad. Got the squad. And look, the only team to have gone 4 for 4 is Wrexham, who have used their squad absolutely beautiful over the last 4 games. So there is that side of it that, it would have benefited Pompey to kick this one down the road. The question I was going to ask you, though, Dave, won't this cost Pompey completely an arm and a leg? Will they still have to pay all the police officers? Presumably, they've done everything. So.
Absolutely.
So in that respect, won't it cost them a load of money anyway?
I would assume it would. There'd be overheads, of course, associated with match day. But it's a strange one. I didn't even dream about even thinking of it. And Jordan was around here today and suddenly said at 11 o'clock, or say someone said 10 past 11. Oh, game's off. I said, what? Whose game? He said, ours. It wasn't. I don't think it was. I mean, there was a little bit on the Telegram chat yesterday about. Oh, it's going to, it's going to freeze. But there'd been no snow in someone was there, no snow in Portsmouth, and we should all, it should be fine. They've had the pitch covered since Thursday or whenever it was covered. So I didn't even dream about it, but here we are.
Again, Richard, I'll play devil's advocate. I've watched all the interviews with Mark Ashton when he's walking around Portman Road with a cup of tea, and he really spelled out how expensive and how hard it is to have a best-in-class pitch. Pompey, I know people will point out that the Eisner lot are former Disney CEOs and potentially have the money there to put in, but it is not the Premier League. And I think for a Premier League club, I don't know, I mean, Dave was mentioning the actual sort of minimum requirements, but I mean, you tell me, when you've got Kieran McKenna in charge and he specifies, I need this pitch to play my type of football, fine. But if you're Pompey, you want to spend that money on a striker instead of a pitch.
Yeah, and it's no different to Blackburn as well. If the budgets are constrained, you have to make choices, don't you? And maybe this is where the EFL, this is where the Premier League and Sky needs to support, because it's in everyone's interest that games go ahead, as I said before. But how much have we spent? It's not only money, like £1 million,
fortunes on the pitch,
but it's taken 2-3 years for it to.
Well, it could only be done, couldn't it? Close season in like a 3-week window, Rich, because they had to, literally take corners of the stands out to get, the vehicles into. To do egress
access, yeah.
Rich, sorry. Prior to that, we had the bubble, didn't we? We had the inflated heated bubble, didn't we? Prior to promotion.
And this is my thing, Ben. Like, how many games got? So we Sheffield United and Hull. It was weird mitigating circumstances. Like there was one bit of AstroTurf at Hull, wasn't it? It wasn't. It was the dugout area. Yeah, exactly.
It was.
And Sheffield United, I think. Some protocols weren't necessarily followed or something like that. So, allegedly, sorry. I'm not making any accusations of foul play there. It's just
we've got to switch it on.
Oh, believe me, Rich, Sheffield United would have wanted to play that game.
Of course, they're on form.
How things are going at the moment.
And we'll talk about our momentum as well, because this kills the momentum. Seb and I did a pre-match on Top Tier, and we talked about it after blooming Oxford, 3 wins in a row. We haven't done it yet. Well, now we've got Blackpool in the middle of it. I guess that doesn't really count, but that 16 days between now and our next game in the Championship. So there'll be part of us that I think,
ironically, against Blackburn.
Is it against Blackburn?
Home game, Blackburn.
I don't think we've gone through the mill as everyone has this last 2 weeks, and we'll be glad of the rest. I'm sure the players will kind of go, okay, that's good. I'll have a nice afternoon. But I just think there is ways to do it. And you look, most of the Championship, QPR got their game on. They probably got in a similar situation to Portsmouth, I would say, in terms of stature, in terms of resources. Perhaps
isn't London like 5 degrees hotter than everywhere else in England?
No, they get the coastal effect of Portsmouth. It should be warm around there, shouldn't it? I'm not a weather forecaster, football podcaster, not a weather expert. But look at teams in League One and League Two have got their games on. League Two was a bit of a 10 games got abandoned and postponed in League Two, but League One, look at League One, that's the standard. Still got most of the games gone ahead there. So I think it's right to ask questions. It's not about repercussions. It's about stopping it happening again. Because as I say, all of this is bad. None of us want this. We do need to address Portsmouth's injury crisis, but that's not the reason the game's got abandoned. So it's more a case of it just creates another variable. Now we've dropped down to third. We'll talk about the results from today, which, have we played the game? Good chance we probably win it in the circumstances. And Coventry have lost, and we've gained on them, and we've kept Borough at bay. And now we've got this game in hand hanging over us again, which just psychologically is a bit crap. So I just think, as I said before, like raise the standards and give clubs support. They don't need to invest in this type of technology. Get the cover, the heaters. You just rent it out to clubs and support them. There should be like a hardship fund or whatever to make sure the games go ahead. But anyway, there's me.
Are there any positives then, Dave, for it being postponed? Because we are iffy away from home. I think it's literally four wins, 4 draws, 4 losses. So we're far from a good away side. Is there an argument that, given it's at the end of a 4 games in 10 days block, that? But then, Dave, the other thing I'm thinking is, where are Pompey going to be in March? They're either going to be 22nd or 21st, absolutely fighting for their lives. We're going to have to go down there in the midweek, Dave.
Yeah, we are. I mean, I did see somewhere on the EADT, I think Stu Watson said that, not surprisingly, we wanted to play as soon as possible. It's midweek after the in between Blackpool and Blackburn home game. I mean,
that would be perfect, Dave, because that would actually be better than now, because you get a rest and you get 3 home games in 1 week.
We'll have a totally different team for the cup game. Yeah, that would. But can you see?
Oh no, Dave. Sorry, we play that midweek. Are you talking about the midweek before Blackburn?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, midweek before. Yeah, midweek before. But you'd think that's quite soon. You would think that's unlikely, but who knows? Really, the only positive we take we haven't lost to a 25-yard Andre Dazelle screamer in 93rd minute. Rich, top bins. So
there is sorry, Dave. There is an absolute doomsday scenario, which the brilliant Nick Ames pointed out in Telegram. We play. Where is it? This double away game. It's Wednesday and Stoke. Is it? No, Stoke and then Wednesday. And then there's a 3 midweek. So you could potentially get Leicester at home, March 7th, and then Stoke away midweek, Wednesday away weekend, and then Pompey away following midweek, followed up by Millwall at home, followed up by
international break, isn't it?
Must be an international break somewhere there.
Yeah, international break after that.
Well, look, let's hope it doesn't get to that. I mean, who knows? We might both be out of the cup, and there might be a free weekend.
That doesn't happen anymore, Dave. So February the 14th, we play Hull. That's when. So it's not like there's a free weekend.
We get a fixture and then they postpone it, don't they? Now.
Yeah. So
Premier League don't, but we do.
Oh well, there you go, Rich. There's a scenario. You beat Blackpool, and you can take the Hull game out as well. So then you're probably playing 3-game weeks all the way up through to the end of the season. And
are we going to lose to Blackpool? Are we saying conspiracy? Let's get those.
Of course we'll lose. Of course we'll lose to Blackpool. That's that's not really up for debate. Given us in the FA Cup, didn't do us any harm losing to Maidstone, did it?
Didn't we win a couple last? I think we did, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Beat Coventry.
For the sake, I was at the game. Yeah, for the sake of my argument. But Rich, if we beat Blackpool, this is going to be like it was in 23-24, where we played Coventry in between round 45 and 46.
Yeah, it was Barnsley. 3 out of 4 years, we're going to have a random extra April fixture, aren't we? But it worked out well for us. Momentum is critical at that point, isn't it? And it might be that as with Coventry, were probably out of the playoffs by the time we played them a couple of years ago. Yeah. So hopefully Portsmouth's situation, if it does drag out until April, is done and they're not fighting for their lives.
Rich, I'm sorry, I just can't see them. I think unless it's round 45 or 46, I think they've still got something to play for. I cannot see them. No. The only way, Rich, is they're relegated, so they're 6 points behind by round 45. I just don't see that happening. Do you? Unless the tide completely rises, Norwich and Blackburn go, and it's Wednesday, Oxford and Pompey 6 points adrift at round 44. Is that suppose it could happen, couldn't it, Rich?
I think the March option seems the most likely between Sheffield Wednesday and Millwall. I'd love it to be a couple of weeks' time.
I love it.
I'm just not sure. I mean, frankly, who's to say that there's not another cold snap and the game's cancelled again on a Tuesday or a Wednesday in January? So probably just for the least risk, you probably want it in March. But yeah, then you're travelling up to Stoke, then you're up to Sheffield Wednesday, and then you're down to Portsmouth.
We had it, Rich, didn't we? We had Hull, Oxford and Blackburn with a rearranged game, and we played well and won at Hull, but then it was 1 point from the next. That was exacerbated by Oxford being on a Friday night as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, the other Neil's mentioned this. A couple of people put this in the chat. Portsmouth, they've got to replay their Charlton match as well. So that's
great point.
That doesn't help things out either. So,
oh my God, Dave. So basically, the worst case scenario here. Let me just quickly look up who Pompey have got in the FA Cup, unless one of you two fellas can tell me immediately. But they've got Arsenal. Okay, so they're getting knocked out. That's
they have
that's
Arsenal,
fine. But yeah, the real best case scenario here, and I guess Dave, the EFL cannot do anything until the FA Cup.
Ben, what are we worried about? Look, we're on a roll. Our depth of squad. We've been banging on about our depth of squad all season. We've been banging on about our depth of squad.
We're supposed to cash in on our bloody depth of squad this afternoon, David.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Worry about it. We'll be all right.
I'm vexatious today on behalf of the fans.
Well, you are vexatious now, and so I think we all are vexatious. But we'll be absolutely fine. I'm sure. Calm down.
Let us know your thoughts on the postponement at Pompey. We can jump onto it a little bit more in the questions. I guess we kind of covered as much as we can. If you think there's any, what a load of conspiratorial claptrap.
Honking content tonight. Honking content.
There you go. If you'd like to give a direct quote of anything conspiratorial that's been said in context with 22 minutes of chat, please. If not, Foxtrot Oscar and watch something else, please. Whoever that was. Philip, was it? Philip in the chat there.
Give us a like, though, before you go.
Come on, Phil.
Give us a like, hey? Right, shall we go to Atwell's and then we'll have a look at what actually went on in the Championship in the games that got played. Richard, if you click top left, there's a little ban user, which you can probably do in the next 30 seconds.
Blue Monday is brought to you in partnership with Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for property and business law. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or just need legal guidance, our dedicated team has got you covered. Trust our award-winning customer service team to handle your legal matters with care and expertise. Find out more at atwells.com or visit us at our offices in Ipswich, Colchester, London, and our new location in Woodbridge.
That was a busy 30 seconds for me, Richard.
I'm not vexatious.
Do you want to do the plugs, my friend? There will be no Blue Monday shows getting cancelled this week.
Well, they will actually. Beyond the Scoreline will be cancelled unless the guys want to chat about Oxford.
Went too soon on that, didn't I?
Yeah, sorry about that. I set you right up there, didn't I? But we might do something for the top tier on Beyond the Scoreline. Maybe a look back over the half season, perhaps, or something like that. But otherwise, normal routine. We'll be back Thursday night, 8 p.m. live, free to access 7i doing the pre-match for Blackpool FA Cup weekend preview on the Friday morning on top tier. And then I think Joe will be back in the country. He's back. He knows
unbelievable.
It's not cold and frozen where he is, but he'll be back. And we might do a bit of rotation for the FA Cup, like Kieran McKenna might do. But usual place, usual time to talk about Blackpool after the fact, assuming it doesn't get snowed off, which, frankly, who knows?
Wonderful stuff. There was, for the most part, a round in the Championship today. We've got Leicester and West Brom coming up tomorrow. And obviously with the 3 games postponed today, that means we're only going to get 8 in total. But, David, I watched this one earlier. It was Birmingham 3, Coventry 2. And, Coventry have scored 8 points in 9 games. I think we had that threat level high on that last time, so you can talk about them in a sec. QPR 3, Wednesday 0. Doesn't have too much relevance to us, does it? Blackburn 2, Charlton 2, down at the bottom. Bristol City 0, Preston 2. Does mean that Preston have gone back to back. They are up to 43 points and 1 point behind us now, having played 1 game more. Derby 1, Wrexham 2. Wrexham, the only club in the Championship over this mad post-Boxing Day period to go 4 wins for 4. Fair play. Although Watford could have done it if their game had taken
going for place. 5. I think Watford were going with 5.
Yeah, they were 3 for 3 since Boxing Day. Just since Boxing Day. Yeah. Middlesbrough 4, Southampton 0. I'll dive in on that. The enigma that is Borough in a bit. Millwall 2, Swansea 1. Millwall win a lot of home games, let's just say. They've got 8 points in 4. They didn't beat us, did they? But they are up in 5th. The Lions. So, Watford and Hull really getting scuppered by that, both overtaken by Preston and Millwall today. Norwich 0, Stoke 2. Back-to-back wins for Stoke. And it was all there for Norwich with Portsmouth's game being postponed. Go figure. They could have come out of the bottom 3 today. They did not. Well, Dave, I'll ask you about Coventry, and Rich, you can talk about Middlesbrough. But they are creaking Coventry. I think Mr. Doug King needs to get busy in the transfer window over the next couple of weeks, doesn't he?
Checkbook. Is there such a thing as a checkbook? Anyway,
if transfers were done with check, by the way, deadline day would be.
That'd be absolutely and conducted by. You had to send telegraphs, not telegraphs as we know. Someone came round on a motorbike delivering it. Anyway, they are certainly creaking, and another blow fairly late in the game. Bobby Thomas got a straight.
That'd be violent conduct. Yeah, so that'd be
straight red.
Games,
so there's 3. There's 3 there. So Wolfie, you would assume, as someone as Matt just said in the chat there, would step straight back in there. But no, a good game, that really good game. Good, really good game. I mean, Rushworth, having been perhaps been a bit harsh, having been so brilliant against us, wasn't at his best today.
Yeah, just a third goal, wasn't it?
Third goal. But obviously,
the thing I thought, Dave, is that it was, I think it was 2-2 or whether no, I think they might have been chasing, and they'd already brought Hadji Wright on, and I looked at the bench,
not a lot there,
and there wasn't a lot there, which does kind of illuminate the point that you guys were making, that first 11 has done absolutely brilliant. But they've been linked with SA, who was at Millwall, who's at Palace now, and Piri, who's obviously top scorer in the division, but does have a bit of the luxury. I mean, you like him, Dave, the luxury player about him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I mean, we've obviously been linked, not officially linked with him, but there's been talk around. Just before Rich gets on to Southampton, Norwich, we're actually out of the bottom 3 whilst they were drawing obviously 0-0.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, they were out. Again, someone we were linked with, Sam Gallagher got the first goal, I believe. Again, someone have been good team goal who have been linked with in the past, and I suppose we better just acknowledge it. One Sammy Morsey came on and made his debut for Bristol City in the second half.
Wearing number 99, I believe. Is that right?
I did not notice that. What I did notice a bit of
nonsense.
There was a bit of comedy there was a bit of comedy right at the end of the commentary game when I don't know who the sub was, but came on wearing Jake Bidwell's shirt.
Yes.
Or nearly got on the pitch wearing Jake Bidwell's shirt, but I'd have been comedy if he had it done. But yeah, just
Kai Andrews. That was
Kai Andrews.
It wasn't Jake Bidwell.
It certainly wasn't Jake Bidwell.
Can someone fact check me on FootMob? It says 99. Sam Morsey 99.
Wow.
Luftballon.
I don't
99. Sorry.
I don't know what that signifies, but that's a big number.
Well, he's obviously not having girl problems. Evidently, I feel bad for your son. It's a song. It's a song lyric. I'm not insinuating anything there. Let's get off that one quickly.
How do I follow this?
99.
Richard, let's talk about Coventry and Borough. Obviously, perfect scenario would have been we played this afternoon and got the win and stayed ahead of Borough, but second place didn't last too long. Number 40, says Josh. Oh, there you go. So FootMob,
99.
It just says it
was
FootMob.
Oh, okay.
It just says FootMob. I guess they don't know his number, so they just stick 99 up
just
there.
threw one in there, yeah.
The FootMob algorithm has done.
Where's your 40 song, Ben? Come on.
40. Can anyone think of a song with a significant lyric about 40 in it? Somebody do that in the comments. Someone will get one in a minute. If not, ChatGPT is your friend. I'm surprised you can't think of one.
I'll come to me in a minute. Carry on. Yeah.
But yeah, second place is gone. And a bit strange, Middlesbrough. It feels like they've played the same game, like 9 games in a row. It worked brilliantly 4 times. Then it didn't work at all 4 times. And it worked brilliantly today.
Yeah, well, the chat, and I'm not too close to what is going on with Borough, but it sounded like they've just been similar to us in a way that they've just had a lot of dominance, a lot of territory, and not a lot of clear-cut chances. And it appears to have all worked in the one game. I was following that one kind of vaguely, and it was like, oh, this is end to end, and Southampton really in this one. There's a penalty shout for both teams. It's like, okay, good, this is great. I'll leave this one be, and then come back and find it's 4-0. I just don't know what's going on there. And Southampton, I said it last pod, say it again, caretaker managers being given the gig full time. I'm not sure it's a path to success at it, but it would be a pretty aggressive strategy to sack him now. But Southampton that's another parachute team that's seemingly out of the mix at the moment, which is, I guess, positive for us. But then everyone else is still getting the points, aren't they? And the worry now is that that's quite a confidence booster for Borough. Do they now go on a bit of a run? I think they've got some kind fixtures. I think one of them might be against a team up the road. So, it's a bit of a worry that.
West Brom away up next for them.
West Brom away is much more difficult than West Brom at home at the moment, isn't it? West Brom could go 10 defeats away in a row tomorrow night.
Did Morgan Whittaker score trademark?
Twice.
I haven't seen his goals. I know he
Not
scored.
trademark goals.
No,
okay. He's good.
I know he scored twice.
Double figures is Morgan now this season. Get your questions in, one and all, on anything that happened at Portsmouth. We've sort of focused on every single possible eventuality. If you're only able to kind of focus on the one thing that annoys you, then I suggest go and walk the dog or something. But remember, it is cold and icy outside, so maybe maybe avoid that.
Carefully.
Yeah, certain corners of the park you want to walk around may be frozen. But yeah, get your questions in. Richard will start some of them. So where we are, Dave. Now, obviously, Coventry 26 played 52 points. And I think that's probably significant that their margin for error, if you use the 2 point per game average as you're a really, really good side if you're above that, you're a very good side if you're on it, and you're probably close to getting promoted if you're near it. They've kind of regressed onto normal rather than exceptional level now, haven't they?
Sailing way above it, weren't they? Obviously. So yeah, you're right. They have regressed. So look, I think disappointed as we are today with the game getting called off and the chance, crikey, would have been potentially with a win, 5 points behind them. As we said this time last week, a win the other way would have been 16 points between us. It's just incredible. It's just mad, isn't it? But
well, it could have been 11 if they'd won today as well, couldn't it?
Yeah. I think
where we are with these gaps.
Yeah. I think we could all be happy with Boxing Day was disappointing. We should have really got 3 points at Millwall. But I think, I think we're happy with things since then. Obviously, the Coventry result, decent. Yeah, obviously 3 points most important against Oxford at home. So, yeah, I think we'd have all taken this, given from where we were prior to the transfer window ending September.
What chance, Richard, the final top three is Coventry, Middlesbrough and Ipswich in some order? We don't know. And if it's not going to be, who? Probably Watford, isn't it? Given the individuals. Sorry, go on, mate.
There's always a team, isn't there, that goes on a run, and it's usually to sneak into the playoffs and get that 6th spot. I'm showing out my age now. There's got to be a better analogy than Ian Dowie's
That's
Palace.
Been a myth since the 90s, I think. Yeah.
Is it? Fair enough. But there's always a team that kind of, and Wrexham are on that run at the moment. They've had a really good Christmas, as you mentioned before. I would say in terms of the automatics, you've kind of got that. There's a combination of factors in there. There's the confidence to do it. There's a squad depth to do it. And there's obviously picking up the results. And so there's always a question mark over the rest of the teams there. But we always maybe underestimate a Watford, for example, because it's been a while since they've been up there. Stoke, Preston, Millwall, have they got the staying power? Are they going to strengthen in January in the same way that Borough, Coventry, Ipswich might? So I think that logic is fair, Ben. I guess the question I'll just pose to you, because we talked about Chris Davis, weren't we? And if they lost today, that might be it. I'm not saying Lampard's in trouble here, by the way, but is your perspective on Coventry's gap to the rest of the pack, that is closing up now quite significantly? And I think the worry, less so at the moment for me, is their defensive abilities. That every time Birmingham went forward today, they seem to score. Fullbacks are a bit of a problem. Bobby Thomas now out for 3 games. Do you think Coventry need to sort themselves at the back before they start addressing the front line? And are they catchable?
I think addressing the front line probably does sort them out at the back, because the whole thing is they were just sweeping teams away with attacking football, wasn't it? So if you look, do you remember the game against Derby? It's 5-3, wasn't it? So I think the goals were, although actually, no, I don't think that's true, Rich. I think you're right. I remember having this discussion on the Sportsman podcast and then looking it up, and them along with Stoke had the most clean sheets as well. And we've just said their goalkeeper's really good, but they are a very risky team the way they play with the fullbacks up high and kind of, who was it? Grimes and Eccles today in central midfield. We said for years we need a grizzly bastard in front of central midfield, and Grimes and Eccles, lovely players, but no, maybe Mr. Morsey should have headed up to see Wolfie at Coventry if they wanted a championship bastard there in central midfield to just make them a little bit more nasty. I think there'll be 2 new players at Coventry by the time we done FA Cup and we get round 27 done. But yeah, you can't argue with the trend, because it goes like that and it's now going like that, and they need to level it out. Dave?
Yeah, I agree. We can tell what Watford are thinking. I've got a close pal who's a Watford fan, and I said, our game's off. And when I heard his game was off, I said, our game postponed was bad enough. Blimey, yours, 20 minutes before kickoff. He said, yeah, gutted about it. He said, and Coventry lost as well. So you can see the way they're thinking.
Interesting. I thought you were going to say, yeah, and that's the last time I'll ever see Imran Loser and Mama.
Well, I didn't rub it in. I nearly did, but I didn't. But that's certainly, you could see how he was thinking. Yeah. We could have stolen a march on you guys with you guys not playing. Oh yeah, it was Coventry more looking further
for you.
That's football fans for you, though. Get your questions in. We'll do some questions for the guys. I will break the fourth wall here and tell you about a conversation before we went on air that said we can get 45 minutes out of a postponement. We're doing well.
Tell them the one from lunchtime, Ben, which was, I will have a night off.
Yeah, that lasted all of about 2 minutes, didn't we? And my missus is back to work tomorrow, so I must go and do my family duties after this. But we will do some questions first. Right, what shall we say? Dave, I think this harks back to that Leicester game at Portman Road. If the game had been live on Sky, would it have been played? That's a naughty question, isn't it?
That is a naughty question. But they usually do. There's all my answer to that. They usually do get played, don't they? So, my answer to that is yes. Most you would have thought if it was as we understand. Well, was it touch and go? I don't know if it was, because obviously they called it just after 11 o'clock. They clearly weren't going to give it any more time. So was it touch and go? I don't know. But games usually don't get postponed on Sky unless, as we've said before, the surrounding areas with snow and there's
tectonic plates moving under the pitch. Yeah,
tectonic plates moving under the pitch. Exactly. So yes, let's say had it been on Sky, I think it would have been even more surprised had it got called off.
Richard, what is worse? Game called off in the 80th minute down to 10 men, or game postponed due to frost? I mean, neither are ideal, are they? But answer the question.
No, I think, I know which one I was happiest about earlier in the season at Ewood Park when Ipswich were 1-0 down to 10 men, and we got the chance to play the game again. So we need to be really careful about, the shoe being on the other foot and all that kind of stuff.
And as as was pointed out, sorry to interrupt, Portsmouth were unlucky. They travelled all the way up to Charlton, kicked off a game, and that was postponed, obviously, for very sad reasons with a medical emergency. But the shoe has been on the other foot there, and they've been victims of it, haven't they?
Yeah. So, the outcome is bad whenever it happens. And I think it's the game state. I think today is annoying because of the circumstance around Portsmouth, but also the fact that we picked up 2 wins in a row and looking really good at the moment. And you kind of felt that with a good chance of getting 3 points, and then the results happened today. I know the Borough one's a bit of a setback, but Coventry losing, suddenly you just win today, and we all go into the week very happy, don't we? But now we've got potentially 2 weeks without a league game, and it's all a bit sad, isn't it? But yeah, I don't think there's ever a good time. But certainly any situation that avoids fans turning up like Oxford fans did or Watford fans did today is definitely something that should be avoided.
Colin, David, when did Leicester get a points deduction? So they got charged in July. Yeah.
It's not quite as drawn out as Man City, is it? For goodness' sake!
Or Ben, Tom Adeyemi getting back to fitness. Yeah.
Where did you get that one from?
I'm just trying to think of the longest storylines on the Blue Monday.
Yeah, God knows, Colin. Who knows, mate? But I mean, we think it's going to happen at some point. I mean, Ben, you'd probably know more closely aligned to the Championship. Have you heard any?
I've heard
anything coming. No,
and they normally go on like the first Monday of an international break, and we've been through about 5 of them. All I'll say is it's quite nice that I don't really care, because Leicester are 10 points.
Well, that's a very good point. Yeah.
10 points behind us. So I thought there'd be many points where we were looking at Leicester and thinking, oh, how many points to get them outside of the playoffs? Yeah. But they've not quite turned up this season. Richard, Nick, as December's go, it could have been a lot worse with transfer window. Aren't we in a good place? Yeah, very much.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think, to Nick's point, I don't think our needs for the window are any different because we've had some good results. I still think we're short in a couple of areas, and probably the bigger question is, and we had a debate about Connor Chaplin on the pre-match. So I think we've been asked about that. If you want to pose that one to Dave, because I've given a view on Chaplin, but it's more about players departing and maybe shedding a few of our numbers to give people an opportunity. There's questions about Cam Humphreys in the chat, Elkan Baggott. We hear the Smorich chat, don't we, as well? So I think good December, the Leicester defeat aside, perhaps Millwall a bit meh on Boxing Day, and just need to carry it in. And what's great is usually under Kieran McKenna we have a bit of a lousy run, don't we, over the winter period. We don't seem to have fallen victim to that this time around, so maybe that's different. And now we can hopefully bring some players in, but as I say, probably some bigger debates, questions about who departs, if any.
I'll throw these Chaplin questions at you. There's a few of them, Dave. Can't believe there has been chat about Portsmouth and no mention of Connor Chaplin. Well, imagine there were other bigger storylines today, AD. How about that? But we're talking about him right now. Matt, do we think Chaplin will be in the shirt of the other team in blue next time we play Pompey? I think.
Can I add another question in the mix? If you're Mark Ashton, does today change anything in terms of your willingness to let Chaplin go back there for the second half of the season? Probably not. I'm just being spiteful, but
you very much are.
Yeah, you were, Rich.
Vexatious.
Vexatious.
And it's totally out of character, may I say?
It's not out of character.
No, it's not. Sorry, what was the question? What was the question again?
Chaplin, discuss.
Chaplin. Talk more about Chaplin.
Let's get him back. Put him in the 10 role. Get Nunes back alongside Matasuya and move on. Come on now, we know it makes sense. No,
we were just saying Eccles and Grimes was soft in central midfield.
We love him to bits. What an absolute servant he was to us over those seasons after Cook brought him in. But again, I suppose a little bit like Moores, he went permanently, and there was obviously talk in our chat group was never going to happen. Him coming back, I think, unfortunately, that ship has sailed with Connor Chaplin. I don't really see him coming back to be a squad player either. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. And he really, in difference to him, I don't really think he's been really. I don't know, pulling up any trees. At Portsmouth either. I think last Saturday, I think the 5-0 game at Bristol City, I don't think he started. I think he was on the bench even for that game, given their injury crisis. So
I don't suppose, Dave, you can name me which Welsh player got an assist today and just happened to come into the Wrexham team as they start to win 4 in a row and a 3 up front. It just is, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, no, I don't. I'm sorry, Rich. I didn't see what you had to say with him in the Portsmouth chat.
I think Rich was suggesting some very juvenile behaviour from Mark Ashton of saying, "Okay, you take our game, we're going to take."
Oh yeah, in the chat. On the
pre-match.
Unfortunately,
I did suggest that maybe we bring him back and have a look at him to send him back there at the end of the window. Yeah. But as you say, probably the frustrating dynamic here is that I think Chaplin's team initiated the move. Makes a lot of sense to go back to Portsmouth. And you'd think, well, he'd have 5 goals maybe and a few assists at this point. And he's got, I think it's 1 assist perhaps. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. He can't go anywhere else because he's played games for us, hasn't he? So it's either us or Portsmouth. So it wouldn't surprise me if we bring him back and then maybe towards the end of the window he goes back there. But as you say, it's just a shame it's not worked out for him because everything is set up there in terms of his hometown club, I think it is, or at least the club that he came through at. And just doesn't happen, is it?
What if he plays really well and he's the reason why Pompey have got nothing to play for in between round 45 and 46? That means we get a freebie game against them, which we win to win the title or something. It could work out nicely, him being at Pompey.
There you go. Do you think he might come back in the coming week, or we might see him and he will get in cup tied next Saturday? What are the chances of that?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that'd be quite nice just to see him. I think I said it on the pod before Christmas. Just to see him and Burns one more hurrah. That would be good, wouldn't it? That would be nice. But yeah, as you said, that ship has sailed and we need to move on. But what a player! What a player!
Whose question is Richard? Will we be above Coventry by February? Let me help you with that answer, Richard, because I'm going to tell you what Coventry's remaining fixtures in January are. In fact, I don't think we can.
Leicester at home next up. Leicester at home, they've got.
Leicester at home. Oh no, we have got 3 games. It's mathematically possible with an 8-point gap. Wouldn't they have to lose all 3? Oh no, there's 4. Sorry, there's 4 games. Leicester home, Millwall home. Is that a 3-game week as well? Then they go to Norwich on a Monday nighter. A weird schedule. And then they go to QPR. But it'd be difficult to get past in 4 games with 8 points. They'd have to be horrific, and we'd have to be. I mean, minimum we have to get 2 points per game from our 4, and they have to get 0.
Yeah, but at least we're back at Portman Road for most of our games, are we not? The Bristol City game on Tuesday night's a bit tricky. Look, I think we're in real danger of underestimating Coventry, and this is a blip. I do think it gets arrested at some point, and signing players often a boost, but they'll beat someone and then go on another run. It'd be great that if we are up there, because it means that we've maintained contact. But it's just about us now. We should just win all of our games. That should be the target, and what will be after that. And the fact we've got Borough at home later in the year is probably the game we should be focusing more than what Coventry do.
Aid Cooper, Dave. Odds on the majority of Town's transfer business occurring on 2nd of February. I think some will, won't it? I don't know the majority though.
You would hope the majority isn't, but it's likely. But past January transfer windows have taught us that really. Kiefer Moore, I think others coming in very, very late in the day. So you would expect that would be the way it would go. But you would hope for some action, perhaps, sooner rather than later.
Well, let me just tell you, Dave. So it's round 31 would follow the closing of the transfer window. So what is that? 16.
16.
Yeah, 16 to play. So you've basically got a third of the season with anyone you sign on the last game. Neil Richard is talking about Humphreys. Should we loan him to a lower champ club? Although Wickham have got Mike Duff now, who I really liked when we were going up against Barnsley. But yeah, if Humphreys is going to move up the ladder, maybe he could go, maybe go to Pompey.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I query the loan. I really like Cam Humphreys, and he was really highly rated through our academy. I just think we need to do right by him and let him leave permanently. I think we need to be really honest with ourselves that, sadly, there's a few players, even players that we've signed for good money in the last few years, that the situation around the club and our aspirations have moved on. And I would be really sad to think that even Elkan Baggett as well hang around at the club and don't play football. And our success of our academy is also about getting players out and sold. And I think he has to move on. He will move on this January window. I just think for him, Wickham was a team that he did really well for.
I loved him as well.
Agree a fee, stick a big sell-on percentage in case he blows up there and has massive success. But just say thank you and sorry that we couldn't find more opportunities for you in the blue and white.
Yep.
Jason, does McKenna now go full strength in the FA Cup, Dave?
No. No. We've just spoken about potentially Connor Chaplin and Wes Burns playing. No, I don't really think that's gonna happen. There'll be a tricky one, and name that starting 11 for next Saturday might be an interesting.
Someone normally gets it right, don't they? In the Telegraph, they do, Dave.
Well, okay. Wasn't that back when
the challenge to us for the pre-match? We'll do it on the pre-match.
Okay. That would be a good.
Get it, Dave. We got loads of Telegram members.
That'd be a good challenge. You would think that would be a really good shout. I think
Matasiwa doesn't play, presumably, Dave.
You would think Matasiwa doesn't play, so obviously
Nunez doesn't play.
Greaves is going to get
playing goal.
Greaves is going to get a start. Palmer's going to start in goal. Well, I have to be either Azon or Akpom up top. Yeah, there's going to be a few changes, I think.
Interesting. Oh God, this one's going to set Richard off, isn't it? Hey, will the football regulator make a difference with minimum required facilities or fines for clubs with postponements? It's so difficult again with this stuff. It goes back to the long conversation we had at the beginning. It's when you're looking at kind of fault as opposed to it was impossible to get the game on. And believe me, where there's blame, there's a claim. We've seen championship owners definitely sue. If you look at Steve Gibson and Mel Morris for, things that aren't done properly. So I think if there's any sniff that someone's been negligent in not getting a game on, not that we're suggesting anybody has been at any point in any EFL Championship club or game at any point this season. But I don't know. It seems too hard to enforce to me, Richard, doesn't it?
I mean, this is where lawyers earn their money, isn't it? Things like force majeure and acts of God and that kind of
stuff.
Tell you
about that, yeah.
I think there's bloody love force majeure. There's a couple of dimensions.
I'm joking, Rich? You can.
No, I've chucked a force majeure clause in a contract once or twice. Don't worry about that. I think there's two sides to it. There's the carrot and the stick. FFP, I think stadium improvements are excluded from spend considered in FFP. There should be more to kind of encourage clubs to do that. Yeah, infrastructure. There should be more to encourage that. And the EFL should be, rather than letting clubs have to enter into agreements with manufacturers and all that kind of stuff individually, economies of scale, the league should just buy this kind of equipment to help clubs put games on. So I think that's the carrot end of the spectrum. But to James' point, I do think in 2026, games not going ahead, as I said before, have like shed loads of negative consequence and disruption, and that does cost money. And I do think you need to incentivize the behavior to start with, and you need to penalize bad behavior after the fact when it's not enforced or not followed. So I think there's a combination of factors there. There you go. That's sound very parenty, don't I? There, bit of carrot, but a bit of stick when they need it.
You'd talking about giving these clubs a grant, like solar heating, like solar panels.
Well, I mean, getting a pitch cover and a heating system, I mean, I'm not saying undersell heating because that's millions of pounds, but I do think it's incumbent on everyone to try and figure out a way to make the running costs for games. Like, it's 2-3 months of the year. Like, it's not, as I said earlier, it's not beyond the wit of anyone to make games happen. If it snows, it's 3 foot deep of snow, fair dues. Like, not much you can do about that. But frozen pitches, nah, it's a foreseeable problem. It's fixable.
Bloody climate change, as someone said, isn't it?
What are you doing this late into the podcast?
Exactly what it is.
David Diamond is joking about climate change. We don't want anyone to discuss climate change or anything geopolitical in any of our podcasts. David Diamond is joking, everybody. I was just going to go off on a big rant then about like my hobby horses about throw-ins taking too long. And
do you want to put the 8-second rule out there? I'm really pleased that I came up with that. And 8-second rules for keepers. Try a second throw-ins as well.
Yeah. Although Van Evick was going quicker today. No, I just think it's almost like we play too many games, Dave, and the transfer window's stupid. And maybe if we had less games and a kind of 2-week break in the very most wintry time, maybe at the start of January, there's been a transfer window there, but there's the cash cow, isn't it, Dave?
It's the cash cow. It's the Premier League, of course it is. And we've spoken about the winter break's been spoken about for eons, and it's never going to happen. Obviously, it happens in Germany. I'm going to put this tactfully because the weather is perhaps worse there, but and other places in Europe. But yeah, it just doesn't never going to happen, unfortunately.
Never going to get right. Last question here, Dave. Horse Hollerer, do you think the entire YouTube pundit community will rally? This might be tongue in cheek. Rally around town after today's postponement in the same way they all demanded justice for Blackburn following Floodgate? I mean, was that even semi-serious? The reaction was that just people trying to get clicks on the basis of
I think it was.
Here's parachute team Ipswich and poor old Blackburn. And they've been wronged, and then
very much
postponed another game, and
very much so.
Yeah. So that would be a no then on that one. Well,
Southampton fans were supportive of us. I remember seeing quite a lot of those.
Were they? Oh, yeah.
Continue.
Well, today you mean? For today?
Yeah, for today, for Portsmouth.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Well, I think we did very well, guys. I mean, we did some wild accusations about our tinfoil hats, but I think we tried to stay down the middle there for 57 minutes on a game that literally didn't happen. But we can all kind of pause for breath now as we go to FA Cup Round 3 against Blackpool. And when you read out that reserve team, I think we're going to win now, and the fixtures are going to get even worse. Although Ian Everett is an original preview this with Seb in at Blackpool, and they're on a little bit of a run, I think, in League One.
Return of Lee Evans, isn't it? Lee Evans is on their books. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Last word from you, Richard.
Have a good week, everyone. I know most of you, like me, will be back to work tomorrow, so hopefully we've given you a distraction from that. Enjoy your week if you can, and we'll be back throughout the week. I do think we've got a transfer targets video coming during the week as well, by the way. So plenty of stuff to keep you occupied before we get to Blackpool on the weekend. But have a good week and look after yourselves.
David Diamond, have the last word in this podcast.
I think I'll just say, enjoy the snow this week and not too much panic buying at Sainsbury's and Tesco's.